Have you always wanted to go to Israel? Well, my friend Jim Osmond and I are going to talk about a great opportunity coming up for you here in just a few months. Well, Jim, brother, how are you?
They're doing well today. How are you?
Good, man. Doing well. Doing well. Thanks for coming on the channel. And we are talking about an upcoming trip that we have to Israel, to the Holy Land, February 10th through the 19th. And you and I have both been to Israel twice now, once together on the same trip, and then
Yeah.
another trip where we went separately. So I'm really excited about this, and I think you are too, even though it's going to be our third time. I think we're both looking forward to getting back there.
Yeah, I certainly am. It's after the first time that I was there, I said to my wife, I really want to come back here someday, and so did she. And Israel was one of those places where I always thought, well, if I get over there, it would be fun, but if not, it's no big deal. And then somebody gifted us a trip or enough money, I should say, during Pastor Appreciation Month some years ago. I think it was 2017 or so, maybe 2018, Pastor Appreciation Month, enough to pay for almost both of our trips over to Israel. And so she went with me, and both of us were kind of, yes, it'll be interesting. We were excited to go, but when we got done, we just both of us said, I'd love to do that again sometime, because that was really neat. And we thoroughly loved it. And then you and I went a couple years ago, and that was another experience that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And when we left there, I thought, well, I'd probably leave it a couple of years before I'd want to go back, just because I'm not like you. I don't do the international travel stuff a lot. You do that far more than I do. But when we got done a couple of years ago, I figured I'd probably come back again because I enjoy it. It's in many ways a life-changing experience.
Yeah, it really is. And, I'd always heard that before I went to Israel from people who had been, and they say, oh, it's a life changing experience. You'll never read the Bible the same way. And I thought, kind of like you, like, yeah, that'd be cool to go, but being a little hyperbolic there, aren't you? But once you go, it really is. It far exceeded my expectations, and even the second trip did, um, because it brings a level of realism. Like when we read of these places in our Bible, we know they're real, we know they're real
Yeah.
places, and we know the events are real. But when you can actually see, and you're standing in the place that you're reading about in the Bible, it just kind of brings a level of realism that you have to be there to experience.
Yeah, it puts everything in Technicolor and three
Yeah.
dimensions for you, and it allows you to see some of the things in your mind's eye when you're reading scripture.
Mhm.
You're able to kind of see what that would have looked like, and
Yeah.
obviously we're not 2,000 years or 3,000 years ago. It's not exactly like it was back then today, but there are certain things that you kind of get a feel for over there, and you can, in your mind's eye, go back and feel that 3,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago. There's some
Yeah.
places that are virtually unchanged,
Yeah.
and then there are other places, obviously, that have been changed dramatically over the years. But when you go to the place where Jacob wrestled with God on the mount there,
Yeah.
there's nothing built there. There's a rock slab there that they had a temple at one time built there, but it's just out in the middle of the wilderness. It's the same mountaintop. It's not
Yeah.
like they put a mountain on top of it.
Right.
So
Right.
some stuff is unchanged, like the steps going up the southern side of the Temple Mount.
Yeah.
Those are the same steps that Jesus and the apostles would have walked up. Those are the same stones, many of them, most of them, that Solomon put there. Those have been
Yeah.
unchanged over the years.
Yeah.
Now, some of the Temple Mount has been changed dramatically, but some of those things are the things that Solomon himself ordered to be put in place, and they've been there since the beginning.
Yeah. It is. It's amazing. It really is. Where was the place? I remember you telling me there was some place that you said you wished you could just set up a chair and sit down
Oh,
and read.
yeah.
Where was that? Something with Paul,
That
right?
was in Caesarea Philippi. No, no,
Okay.
sorry, Caesarea, the maritime Caesarea that's out on the
Maritime. Okay.
coast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's where Paul was spent 2 years in prison at the end of the book of Acts. And they have
Yeah.
it's not the rooms, but it's sort of the foundation stones marked out of the area of the hall where he gave his defense to Agrippa. And there's like 3 or 4 rooms that would have been used to store prisoners in that day. They're pretty sure that they've identified the one that Paul would have spent his time in there, waiting to be shipped off to Rome.
Yeah.
And it was there when you read the little plaque. The Apostle Paul likely spent his 2 years in this room right next to the great hall where he gave his defense to Agrippa and Felix and Festus and all the dignitaries there.
Yeah.
It's there, sitting down and just kind of picturing in your mind's eye this what this would have looked like, and you can sit in the location that the Apostle Paul would have lived for 2 years. And that was the very first place that we visited after we landed in Tel Aviv the first trip. That was the very first place we visited, and that just sitting there thinking to myself, man, I preached through the book of Acts. I love the Apostle Paul. To be able to sit there and just take that in, that you're standing where he stood and you're sitting where he sat, and then recalling in your mind's eye all of those things, it was surreal. I could have taken that in for the good part of a day.
Yeah. 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 One of the most meaningful places for me was not the Garden Tomb, the Garden of Gethsemane, and we know exactly where that was, and it's just right there. It's so much of what we read in the Bible is in such a compacted area, but the Garden of Gethsemane, they know exactly where it was, and when you sit there thinking about what Christ went through at that spot as the shadow of the cross loomed large, and he knew he was about to experience not only the physical agony, but the wrath of his own Father poured out on him right there. And you can kind of look across the Kidron valleys right there, and you can kind of see in your mind's eye where the soldiers would have come down looking for him and all of that, with torches and
you can just imagine it, the dark of night and coming right down the Kidron Valley and up to the garden.
Yep. Yep.
Judas in the lead with a few soldiers. Yep.
All right there. I know it is an amazing trip. It really is. And some of the other places we're going to go, where are we headed? What are we going to see?
Well, we're going to be, you can get a full itinerary on the website, livingpassages.com. There's an itinerary that'll show you every place that we're going, but we're going to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We're going to go to the village, the Nazareth village. I think part of maybe on this trip, I can't remember if we're going to Bethlehem or not on this trip, but the Nazareth village is a neat place because you get to walk back. Kind of feels like you're walking back in time. You have character actors there dressed up. They show you what it was like to grind out olive oil and to spin wool and harvest a garden. And there's a section there in Nazareth where they have the things planted in terraced on the hillside, terraced gardens on the hillside, and you get to walk through that and kind of get a tour of what a village would have looked like in Nazareth in the first century. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we're also going to the Sea of Galilee. We're gonna sail out on the Sea of Galilee. That was a really neat experience last time. And the Sea of Galilee, it's not like you're just going out into the ocean. It's more like what we would call a lake. But it's from out in the middle of that water. You talked about the perspective, how everything kind of gets shrunk down. You can see a whole bunch of things from any one location. The Sea of Galilee is an example of that. You can look across to the east of the Sea of Galilee and see where the Gadarene demoniac was healed. You can look to the north end and see Capernaum and Bethsaida and that region. You can kind of look behind you and see the Mary Magdalene, where Mary Magdalene grew up and lived, and the synagogue of Magdala back there on the western shore of that. You look to the south end of it, and you can see where the water flows out down the Jordan River, down towards the Dead Sea. So it's just from that one location out on that boat, you can see all of those things just by looking around you. You can recall back to your mind all of these biblical events and stories. That's pretty neat.
It is. It really is. We will get on a boat and actually go out onto the Sea of Galilee. It really is cool. And I think when we were there, one of the boat operators actually took a net and threw it out, seeing if he could catch a fish. He didn't pull anything back in, but every once in a while, apparently they do grab one, but but catch and release. So, but it's great. And not only New Testament, but Old Testament sites as well. the first time I was there, we went to a place where David killed Goliath. They know about where that
Yeah, Valley of
happened.
Elah.
Yep, Valley of Elah. So, and it's so, it just struck me like how concentrated these locations are, Old and New Testament. So much of what we read in the Bible happened in a really small area.
Yeah, redemptive history played out on a small
Yeah.
stage.
Hmm.
And it's not just the Sea of Galilee, but almost anywhere that you go and stand there, you can just look 360 degrees and recall to your mind Old Testament and New Testament events.
Yeah.
Looking out, and I think we had one location, and I forget what the name of the town was, but it was the place when Joshua entered the land. He burned down the king's palace, and we were sitting up there. There had foundation stones that they had uncovered that had been burned,
Yeah.
and then you could look out over the Valley of Armageddon there,
Yeah.
and you're looking at a place where I think, as a premillennialist, that certain prophetic future eschatological events are going to take place and unfold right out there in that valley. And then you're also looking out over to a place where Jesus healed a widow's son. And I mean, you can just look out of the valley and see all of these different locations that play into not only past biblical history, but future biblical events as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Another place we're going to go to is Masada, which,
Yeah, that is an event. It was for you the last time. Do you want to tell the story
yes,
of what
it
happened
was.
last time we went there?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about Masada and our time there.
Yeah, so at Masada, they have a cable car that'll take you up to the top of the mountain, or you can hike the trail that they would have used to bring all of the supplies and the slave labor and everybody up to Masada. There's no cable car back in Herod's day, but they had a trail, and it was almost an impenetrable defense. And
And
you
for
can
those
read
who
up
may
on the
not
history
know,
of Masada.
Masada is not mentioned specifically in the Bible, but
Right.
it's where the kind of like the Jewish people's last holdout, their version of the Alamo before the Romans came and totally sacked
In 70 AD,
in
right?
70 AD. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's up on top of the mountaintop up there, and you get to tour the ruins of that, go down into cisterns and see the storage rooms and the palace that Herod had carved into the side of that mountain. You get to go through the different valleys. There's still murals on the walls of the rocks, and murals on the floor made out of tile that was still part of that
Yeah,
palace. It had to be magnificent. Then you can look out over the Dead Sea and see the Dead Sea from up there and imagine what that would have looked like in the time of Herod.
yeah,
When we went there last time, our tour bus had to leave, drop us off at Masada, and then go around the mountain to the other side. It's about 2.5 hour trek, and pick us up on the backside of Masada. And from there, we went to a camel ride event that was close to that. But they couldn't wait for us to tour the top and then come down the front and then take the bus to get to the camel ride. So the morning of our event of that day, our tour guide came to us, and you and I were sitting at a table having breakfast with some young men in our church.
yeah.
Seth, my son-in-law Trent, my son Liam, and who was the other one? Trent, Liam, Seth. I'm forgetting one, and
Yeah.
the fact that I'm forgetting who that was is going to plague me. I'll come back to it here in a moment. But those four young men were also Micah.
Yeah. Micah. Yep.
Micah, yeah.
Yep.
The fact we were all sitting there having breakfast together, and our tour guide said, "Look, here's the situation. We have to drop you off. The cable car is the only way down on that one side. The back side is a bunch of stairs and a long ramp, and it's a climb to go down that." And he said, "So that's going to impinge upon Justin, your ability, because you have to take the cable car to the top, but you can't take it down the backside." And our
Right.
tour bus had to be on the backside. There was only one exit, and it was the rough way down.
Yeah.
And we said to you, you offered to not go that day. You were going to spend the day on the tour bus. And our guys said, "No, Justin, we'll get you down off the mountain, whatever that takes." So you went up the cable car. And at the end of the day, when it came time to go down the back of Masada, our tour group, we had several guys that carried your scooter down. We disassembled that, carried the scooter down. And then those four young men carried you off of Masada down, I don't know how many hundreds of steps
Yeah.
and pathway and everything down to the bottom where we could put your scooter down on the ground. You could ride the rest of the way. But
Yeah.
that was quite an event. It was, and that night, sitting down at dinner that night, I asked the guys, what was your favorite part of the day today? And we had the camel ride, we had Masada, we had a couple other events, and every one of them said carrying Justin off of Masada was the best thing we did today. It was really cool.
It really was. It really was.
I can't promise you we're going to carry you off this time, though.
No, you might leave me up there. Okay.
It
It was. It was a really special thing and very touching for me to see those guys, those young men, just carry me and my scooter separately, but carry me and my scooter all the way down that mountain. So very, very cool thing. One of the funnier things, we were going to the pool of Bethesda. You remember this?
I do, yeah. My offer still stands.
Your offer still stands. So, so we're, friends, John chapter 5, pool of Bethesda, and there was a multitude of the sick laying there, and it says that an angel would come and stir the waters, and whoever the first one in would be healed of whatever disease he had. Now, not to exegete this, but we think that was probably a Jewish legend or whatever.
Yeah.
But we're walking up to the he's walking, Jim's walking, I'm riding my scooter up to the pool of Bethesda, and there's still a little bit of water down there. The pool of Bethesda has been recovered. So we will go to the pool of Bethesda and see exactly where this happened. And Jim, what did you tell me?
I told you if I see even the slightest stirring in that water down there, I'm picking you up and throwing you in.
Yep. Thankfully, the water was calm. What's that?
My offer still stands.
Offer still stands. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully the water will be calm, because I think breaking my neck being thrown into the pool of Bethesda from that height would probably be worse than the CP. So anyway,
yeah.
But it's a great time. We're going to see an awful lot of stuff. And Jim, the dates are February 10th.
Yeah,
to the 19th.
February 10th. Yeah, February 10th to the 19th. So you'll be in Israel over Valentine's Day. So bring your wife or your husband and enjoy Israel together on Valentine's Day. February 14th, we're going to be at Caesarea Philippi, and then head to the Dead Sea and then spend the night at the Dead Sea Hotel.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. Dead Sea. You got in the Dead Sea.
It is, yeah.
I'm not getting in that thing. It's
you can't drown in it. Well, I mean, yeah. I guess you could if you put your head below the water and inhaled, but it's floating in the Dead Sea it's in itself an experience. The water is clearer and cleaner than you imagine it. You imagine the Dead Sea to be like a slough with just stagnant water and seaweed and stuff like that. That's how I'd always pictured it, but the water is clear. It's beautiful. There's nothing living in it, which is why they call it the Dead Sea. And right. The salt content is so heavy that you feel buoyant. It's just bizarre. Floating there is just bizarre. You don't have to do anything to float there. You don't have to tread water or nothing. You won't sink below the surface. It's the weirdest thing.
So people can go to livingpassages.com, and this is a flyer that I have. It got all the details. So go to livingpassages.com and just look for the trip with Jim and me. And Jim, as we go to these different places, at a lot of the places that we'll go to, we will tag team, not preaching, but we'll give a devotional that is pertinent to that particular location and read the scripture and kind of flesh that place out a little bit, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a tour guide who will give us some of the details of the location and the place. And then you and I will do some teaching about that place or that location in terms of what the Bible says, and maybe some application there, or a little bit of background, or we'll key off of some biblical event that took place there and talk about the significance of it from not just a historical perspective, but also a spiritual perspective. Spiritual
theological perspective. So, So I enjoy doing that. It'll be good. Good time. And so we're hoping for about, we've got 2 buses, right?
Yes. So we're hoping to have 2 buses on this tour. One of them will have a lift on it for handicap accessibility, and the other one just a normal tour bus. We're hoping to get about 100 people. We have space for about 100 people on this tour. We've already have, I think, a half a dozen or so that have signed up, and we're just now starting to kind of put the word out on that. Some of the sites have been selected because they're like easily accessible, and so we want people to be able, with physical limitations like yourself, maybe to be able to get to a lot of these. Not all of the sites are that way. There's still a few of them that, like Hezekiah's Tunnel, you can't take your scooter through Hezekiah's Tunnel,
No.
but it would, yeah. So not all the sites are that way. This is not in any way just a really super easy tour, but neither is it a tour with a bunch of difficult locations to visit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about it. I really am.
Yeah,
It's
too.
going to be a great trip. And again, people can go to livingpassages.com
Yep.
and just look up the trip that has Jim and me listed on it. And all the information is there, the dates, how you can email, get more information, the cost of the trip, and all of those things. All that information is there. So we are really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Look, I was looking forward to meeting new people, seeing them,
Yeah.
hanging out with them. That's always one of the best parts of the trip.
Yep. We're going to go to the Jordan River. We'll see that. Now we are going to pass on what a lot of these trips do. Oh, again, get baptized in the Jordan. No, we take baptism a little bit more seriously than that. It's not
Yep.
a gimmick for tourists. Baptism
exactly
means
right.
something. So
Yep,
it's a church
exactly
ordinance.
right.
Yeah. So we're gonna skip the goofy kind of stuff like that, but it's going to be a very meaningful trip. And I promise you, we're not overselling it. I promise you, we're not overselling it. It really is a trip of a lifetime. And two, Jim, while I'm thinking about it, I know some people might have had some concerns about going to Israel as far as safety goes because of all of the, October 7th stuff from a couple of years ago, and Israel's been at war with Hamas and Hezbollah. But where that fighting has been taking place is not near anywhere we're going, for one thing, and also that fighting is, I mean, Israel's pretty much decimated Hamas, Hezbollah. They've been silenced. We dropped some pretty hefty bombs on Iran, and they're licking their wounds. And I would say I have no fear as far as, I'm not worried about getting in the crossfire or something like that. It's not going to be at the locations we're going anywhere near that. And
No.
I think because of what Israel did a couple of months ago, this is probably one of the safest times to go to Israel in quite a long time.
Here with all the key details, our very own Trey Yangst. He's live. He's in Israel tonight. Trey, this is history in the making. I know it's early in the morning there, but the Israeli people will wake up to news that those hostages will, in fact, be coming home.
Yeah, Sean, good evening. It's a historic moment in the Middle East. President Trump announcing that both Israel and Hamas have signed on to the first phase of his 20-point peace plan to end the war inside Gaza. This means that 20 living hostages will be freed from Hamas captivity. They'll be exchanged for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, and Israeli forces will have to withdraw from certain lines inside Gaza. They will still stay within the enclave, but they will pull back a bit. All of this came together just a few hours ago. President Trump sending his Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner to Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. They were joined by Turkish officials and Qatari officials to try to hammer out the final pieces of this agreement and bring it across the finish line. Then President Trump got that information from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, ultimately making the announcement on Truth Social that a deal was reached for the first phase of his agreement. This is going to alleviate suffering for Palestinian civilians. It is going to reunite the hostages with their loved ones, and it's going to enter into a chapter where the Middle East can work to formally end the war inside Gaza, bring that conflict to an end, and ultimately open up the door for more peace agreements between Israel and its Arab neighbors. I can tell you I've covered this story for more than 7 years, Sean. This is the first time that I can remember where Israelis and Palestinians were celebrating the same thing. Sean?
That shows history in the making. Trey Yangst in Israel tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I think so. Having been there twice, I have never once ever felt at any site that I was at, I've never felt like I was in danger. It's almost like both the Arabs and the Israelis do everything that they can to not make tourists feel like they're in danger. because if you do, that tourism industry dries up, and Arabs and Israelis both, their livelihoods depend upon us being there. So and you're a tourist, you get treated really well everywhere you go. Everybody loves you. I've never felt in danger there. Even when, internationally the headlines make it look like the last place you want to be in all the world is Israel. I've never felt like my life was threatened at all.
I'd much rather be in Israel than Chicago, that's for sure.
Yes.
No offense to our friends watching in Chicago, but your mayor's a mess. So anyway, all right. Going to be a good time. And February, this is another one of the things I really like about the trip, is that it's in February. And so it's not going to be hot. When we were there in February was it 3 years ago, 2022 we were there?
Yeah, something like that. Both my trips have been in the month of February. It's almost the ideal time to go.
Perfect temperature. So
you go in March and April, or anytime around Easter, Resurrection Sunday, Good Friday. Those times are just packed full of people, and everything is busier. It's more expensive there. Yeah. February, the temperature is ideal. It's before it gets really hot. You're kind of out of the cold season of the year. So my wife is a little more cold-blooded than I am, so she would have a jacket on. But me, even a long sleeve shirt like I'm wearing is almost a little too much for me. I prefer the short sleeves and the t-shirts in the evenings when you're out really late somewhere, maybe a light spring jacket, maybe for me, but for the most part, the weather is ideal.
Yeah, it's perfect. We typically on a day in our trip, it would get up mid 60s, something like that.
Yeah, 70s, somewhere in there.
It's
some of the warmer days, it could almost get toward 80 degrees.
Yeah.
But
I don't even remember it getting that hot. But
it wasn't hot.
Very pleasant. Evenings very pleasant. So all right. Well, livingpassages.com, dear ones, if you'd like to join us February 10th through the 19th. And we would love to have you. Jim and I would love to spend that time with you. It's be a good trip.
Yep.
All right. Jim, thanks, brother.
Hey, looking forward to it. See you later.
I started to say I'll see you in February, but I will see you, Lord willing.
You're going to see me in a couple of weeks. You're going to be here at the Kootenai preaching in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Thanks, brother.
Take care.
Okay, dear ones, until our next time together, may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of his Holy Spirit be with you all.